Good evening, everyone. My name is S. Adams, aka Hawk, aka my frat brothers, Blue Five, to all my Sigma bros. Go Mob, as you know, they call me S. Cali. Number two, Deuce is always wild, as you know. But besides that, I'm here today to talk about JB Hunt, my experience. This video is not the best JB Hunt altogether. This is just my personal experience as being a driver and a manager at JB Hunt. Right now, you may see I'm in a truck. Certain circumstances brought me back to the truck, but I'll explain that later, maybe in another video, maybe in this video if I have time. But without further ado, let's get to it. Right now I'm in Fort Pierce, Florida, maybe about 80 miles from Miami. Some of y'all drivers already know. For some of y'all drivers who've been a little interested in knowing about JB Hunt, well, I'm here to let you know about the pros and the cons from a driver's standpoint, being a driver for 2 years, and also being a transportation manager. Y'all may know that as being a dispatcher. So I was on that side too as an office. So let's get into it. Some of the pros about JB Hunt, if you're wondering, like, they do have good equipment. JB Hunt has many accounts. That's another pro that JB Hunt does have. They recently purchased, I think some of Walmart actually, intermodal, as far as the intermodal division. So they are expanding as far as the intermodal goes. And they also has a lot of opportunity for drivers. So because JB Hunt has so many accounts, as a driver, you're not really stuck with one particular account. So like I said, this is not to promote you, or this is not a promotion. I'm not a recruiter or anything like that. I'm no longer employed with JB Hunt. But if you're looking, if you're interested into it, if you want to see what opportunity they have plenty of opportunity as far as freight and lanes where it goes. Pay is pretty steady. I know that's the biggest thing most drivers want to know about as far as the pay. What is the pay like? Pay is pretty decent. It depends on what account. Every account pays differently. Some accounts pay more. Now, if you're more prone to touch freight, if you like touching freight, that will pay you a lot more versus just dropping hooks or bumping the docks. So just keep in mind that touching freight pays a lot more than just bumping docks. So just keep that in mind. Now, when I did JB Hunt, I was actually a flatbed driver, so I made pretty decent. I can tell you the rate. My rate was like 70 cents a mile, and then you got tarpon pay. That was a James Hardy account. So if y'all want to know about that, maybe the rate has went up. I'm not for sure, but I know that was the rate that I was getting paid when I was at the James Hardy account. That was flatbed. That was tarpon. The tarpon, I know a lot of people get afraid of tarpon, but it wasn't like tarpon with chains or anything like that. It was strictly straps. So if you're interested in that, that's a good division that you may want to look into, and they got a bunch of other division that you may want to look into. As far as if you straight out of college and you have a degree, like myself, like I have a degree in supply chain logistics. If you're straight out of college and you're looking for a managerial experience, this is a company that's a good company for experience. I would just say just for experience, not to stay with. I'm not going to say you could possibly be in it for the long haul, but for most people I see that comes here as a manager, they usually stay for about maybe a couple of years to get the management experience on, and then leave, because the truth of the matter is it's a cap of the ceiling. It's not too many moving up positions you can go to once you're a transportation manager. The next thing would be an operation manager, which is really rare, which those positions don't come open that often. But hey, I'm not going to say that you're not able to get to that position, but this is just something just to think about. Strictly if you're in school, you're thinking about JB Hunt. It is a Fortune 500 company, so it is a major company. So it will look good on your resume, definitely, 100%. But I would just say, hey, as a person that was a manager, I would just say, hey, just get your experience. Probably look for something a little bit more pay, and just go from there. Now, let's talk about the cons of JB Hunt. Now, as we know, economy is not doing well, period. Freight is in a freight recession, period. If you wonder why people miles are getting lower and lower, it's because of freight recession. JB Hunt just recently lost 3 major accounts that they had. And unfortunately, one of the accounts I was at, they actually lost that account as well. It's not JB Hunt fault. It's nothing like that. It's dealing with the recession. freight recession, most customers just like, hey, they trying to keep more money in-house. So that was basically a business strategy that they wanted to do. So they did lose a major account, and unfortunately there were drivers that had to go to a different account with paying less money. That was the sucky part about it. But that is part of business, as you know. So if y'all want to know why I'm back in the truck, because of this. My experience as a manager has not been very great. Be 100% transparent with you. I was living in North Carolina. They moved me to Texas to be a manager in training. But during that time, I had moved from 6 different accounts, which is part of the deal, which they tell you. But my experience as a transportation manager, I felt like I was being held back because of just whatever reason. Some people get promoted really quick. I should have been promoted, and I wasn't promoted. They asked me to go to Corpus Christi, which some of y'all are familiar with. That's from Texas. I'm not from Texas, but I know it's close to the beach. They asked me to do that position that came available. I said I would take it. I don't know what happened with that. All of a sudden, that was given to somebody else. But like I said, my experience as a transportation man have not been degraded. They've been moving. When you move around a lot, your schedule changes. So you don't have like a steady life. You don't have a steady schedule. You can't really plan anything. But like I said, this is my experience. This is not really a knock, but that is my knock against JB Hunt as far as me being a manager. That, you know, and then losing this account, it kind of put me back into this situation where I gotta go back into a truck. Granted, I could have stayed it out, waited to see whether they're gonna place me, but when you, the manager that just got promoted to a manager transportation man, or a TM2, what they will call it, you are based on seniority. So I was tired of letting JB Hunt dictate basically where I was gonna go. You know, I knew I was a lower man of the bottom pole, totem pole, as far as going to, you know, finding me an account, finding me another home, and then that means I'll have to another schedule. I don't know how far I was gonna have to travel, because those of y'all who in Texas familiar with the DFW area, I will understand DFW area. Now they did offer me a position, all of us a position, going to another place that was close to San Antonio, but that wasn't including no more pay. That wasn't including no increase in pay or anything. So of course I turned that down, but I just felt like it was better for me to leave on good terms than just to stay with him, because it just the chemistry that me and JB Hunt was having was not a good fit, especially when they moved around so many accounts. The first account I was at before the account I went to that just closed down, that is closing, actually I was supposed to get promoted within there, but they ended up moving me for whatever reason. Moving me, didn't give me no detail, didn't give me no answers, and I don't like that. Another thing, if you plan on being a manager here, let me be honest, transparent with you. They do not like nobody who says no. They want a yes. They want a yes sir, no yes sir, no yes ma'am person. If you have your own opinion, they do not like that. And this, unfortunately, they try to claim that this is not the culture that they develop, but they has. Now I don't know if the president is aware of this, or CEO, but you have managers in the position, in the positions, senior manager and stuff like that, that they will blackball you based on who you know. It's all about who you know there, whether you get promoted or not. If you one of the ones that keep to yourself and more like, you know, introverted, like myself, like I usually keep to myself, but if there's something wrong that I don't agree with, I will speak up like, hey, I don't agree with it, but they don't like that. So if you're one of those type of people, you're not going to get really promoted. You're going to stay in the same position, sorry, and you're not going to really move forward. That's just my experience. Now, there has been some people who move forward pretty quickly, you know, and some of that is based on who they know. Like I know a couple of guys that knew people that was, you know, in the higher up leadership, and they got promoted quickly. So it's just now with the economy and with the world now, with any corporate America, it's basically who you know. It's not really about your talent, your acquisition, what you know, or how smart you are. You can be the smartest person and you can still be the lowest person, the lowest manager, and you can have somebody who barely know their job, or don't know nothing about the company, or know nothing about transportation or trucking at all, and they would get promoted over you versus what you supposed to get that position. So like I said, this is just my opinion, that this is what happened with me as a manager. As far as safety goes, you know, the sucky part about safety, and this is my opinion, No person in safety should have that safety title unless you have driven a truck, at least you have actually know what you're talking about trucking. Most of the people who does safety in JB Hunt never driven a truck. They don't know what you and I go through. They don't know the constant stress, the traffic, the motorists cutting us in and out of traffic, the fatigue and all that stuff that we set, the hours that we set in. So they don't know this. So you have these people making decisions, and these are corporate people too that make decisions as far as how the driver should be driving. So I'm gonna get into that as well as far as the camera. You know, a lot of people biggest concern is about the camera. Do JB Hunt have inward facing camera? Yes, they do. They do have inward facing camera that faces towards the driver. Now, is this just for insurance purposes? Yes, like most company does now. It ain't just JB Hunt that has the inward facing camera, but it's every company now that has inward facing camera. So, but the issue with JB Hunt that I have developed that I don't agree with, that their cameras is a lot more sensitive. So if you plan on coming over here, be ready. I'm just saying, be ready to actually be called in the office a lot of time for you just for eating anything. Let's say you pick up one chip, eat it, delicious. Well, whatever. That camera's gonna go off and say, hey, distracted driver. That driver distracted driver. And then we'll get a notification. Then we have to tell you about, hey, pull over, don't eat while you driving. Of course, as a driver, you know that this is BS. You can't stop every time you want to take a sip of water. And that's another thing. You take a sip of water. There's videos of drivers taking a sip of water, and then it was showing up on the camera as distracted driving. So yeah, so be prepared for this. And it ain't just sip of water. JB Hunt know, as far as, you know, the camera is so sensitive, they can adjust it. But these people, like I said, that is in safety, I don't know. I understand that what they trying to do is really trying to eliminate bad habits. Now I understand as far as the texting and drive, the distracted drive, when you text and drive, that's a no-no. That's illegal in every state. But you can't tell a driver not to eat chips. You can't tell the driver not to eat while they're driving, because we know as drivers that it's hard enough to keep going and driving and you have time to eat, because every hour of our clock is precious. We trying to get to the next level. We trying to get more money. We trying to feed our families. So this is the issue that JB Hunt has. Yes, JB Hunt can tell if you scratch your behind wrong. Sorry, excuse me, if you scratch it wrong, they can see it. It's gonna come up as distracted driving. Fatigue, if you blink slowly or whatever, like that expression, like you look in your mirror too long or whatever, it's gonna come up as distracted driving. They have the camera that's way too sensitive. And I disagree with it. Like, I have called in many drivers as a manager and say, hey, you was distracted driving, and drivers get mad, and I tell them, hey, I understand completely. I don't agree with it. And I think I have a lot of backlash with safety a little bit, because I didn't really agree with his scenario about stuff. And let me tell you the other thing. It's coming to the point now where everything a driver do at JB Hunt is your fault. Like, I have seen things where another car come off the ramp, hit the driver, and it's the driver's fault. Now, this is the culture that JB Hunt is establishing. Now, they really big on safety, but they overdoing it. And as a driver, it's not a good look. I have heard many drivers come to me and say, hey, I don't want to be here no more. I'm thinking about leaving because of this safety culture that they create. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, we can't keep the same thing what JB Hunt is doing. So if this is the con. Now, if you want to come, like I said, it has good freight, but I'm not going to sit here and say that with the camera, it's probably the biggest con. And right now, JB Hunt is losing accounts. So if you had a major account, the possibility of it losing, I'm not saying that it's going to lose, that they're going to lose the account, but with this freight recession, that customers are holding on tight to their money. So basically, JB Hunt is a third-party logistic. They are basically pulling freight for other people, but because of the money aspect, companies are backing out of the contract, or they're not renewing the contract with JB Hunt. So I would just tell you this, like, just be mindful. Like, if this is a company that you want to go to, I'm not against it. I think it's a good, I think it's a good experience as far as managers that want to, just want to get manager experience. I mean, if you're a driver and then you want to have the flexibility of leaving, going to different accounts, this is definitely this is a good company for you. Also, JB Hunt don't really fire drivers like that. That's another positive. As long as you're not wrecking their equipment, as long as you're not having a bunch of tickets or whatnot, they are not going to fire you. They basically, let's say if you would account and that account not for you, you don't like it, you have the option to move to another account. One thing JB Hunt don't want to do is lose you as a driver. They want to continue to keep you. They want to continue to keep you happy. Now, do they want to do that with managers or a transportation manager? Absolutely not. I'm gonna be 100% transparent. No, they don't care about managers at all. If you're a manager, you're not essential. You're essential to a certain extent, but everything is about driver. So if you one of these people that wants to try the company, I say go for a shot, but be careful and be mindful what you do, because every little thing you do, that camera's gonna pick up. Whether you look sleepy, whether you look in the mirror too much, whether you adjusting your temperature on the truck, you adjusting your radio. If you look away for 5 seconds, that camera is going off and it's going to trigger an event and it's going to come up. And another thing they do have is, if JB Hunt truck is governed at 65, I know a lot of companies are. I hated the 65 miles per hour. I hated the 65 miles per hour, but that is what JB Hunt is governing. If y'all want to know what a JB Hunt truck's governed at, it is governed at 65, 62 on the pedal and 65 on cruise control. And they have so many safety features where you're going to basically be going an average of 55 miles per hour on the daily. So like I said, be mindful of the camera. Be mindful of the camera, that it's very sensitive. This company is very sensitive with camera. It's very safety oriented. You are going to have people that is in charge of, just be mindful, the people in charge of safety do not have a CDL. They do not have a CDL. They never drove a truck in their life. Granted, shouts out to the military people as well. But you have some people that was in the military that are in safety, but they never drove the truck, which I don't agree with that totally 100% either. But you also have people who just never, like right now, the culture, what I'm looking at, what I saw, is JB Hunt is like wanting no driver to eat, drink, or drive, period. Basically, they want you to pull over, stop, eat, take a break. If they don't want you touching your phone at all, even if you're changing a song or you just simple touch of the phone, it's going to trigger an event. It's going to trigger that you are distracted, regardless. So if you looking for a job that's really a company that's really big on that's really big, just period, and different accounts, JB Hunt has it for you. I'm not gonna say they're the perfect company. They was not the perfect company for me. Like I said, this is not a bash against JB Hunt. I feel like they could have did a lot of stuff better. I felt like as a manager, my opinion didn't matter at all. Because I spoke up. It was frowned upon. It was frowned upon. Being me who I am, it was frowned upon, and it wasn't for me. Like I said, this wasn't a bashing video for JB Hunt, but y'all do have y'all issues. JB Hunt do have issues, and I'm gonna keep it to you straight. I know y'all have a lot of drivers out here that had the experience with driver with JB Hunt, but I was, like I said, I was a manager. I was on both sides. I was a driver and I was a manager. So, without further ado, stay safe, keep trucking. If you have any questions, you can hit me up. Any more questions, and I will see y'all later. Y'all have a good day. Deuces. Peace.